Yeah, so strumming is one of those things that people often wonder about. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of real basic strum techniques, and I went years without even ever hearing, simple techniques like this to really dramatically help you sound a lot more professional without having to have, a super technical ability. Now, they're not always hitting straight up and down. They're skipping in between and skipping, sometimes they're doing two downs, two ups, a down up, but they're keeping that arm movement going. And that's one of the things that really helps in the beginning. So what we want to think about is if you have a metronome, get it and do downstrokes on the click. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as soon as you get comfortable doing that, 2, 3, switch chords. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now, after that, super simple. Then we're going to go and we're going to add an eighth note at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Right? So we're keeping it super basic. Now, when the strum pattern starts to emerge more, like you'll hear in contemporary music or whatever, you'll start to hear more of a. Right? I'm keeping that 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. It's more that 16th note vibe going, right? So what I'm going to do there takes a little bit of getting used to, right? Because you want to keep that arm moving, but you're not hitting up and down every single time. Right? You can hear those gaps, but I never stopped moving my arms. So let's think of an easy pattern. Even when I get here and it looks like my arm stopped, I still keep my wrist going. So it's down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down. Right? So I'm just mixing those together. So you can start to do all sorts of, patterns. Down, down, up, down, up. All right, that'd be. Really common one, right? So it's down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Right, so that's just the basics of rhythm stuff to think about when you're playing rhythm guitar on an acoustic. This applies to electric as well, but so it also matters obviously to the beat you're playing to. If you're just holding down the fort by yourself, no band and acoustic, then it's a lot easier to kind of mess with the time and the strum patterns and the dynamics because you are not only the melody, but you're also the rhythm, the percussive instrument at the same time. The strums are basically what the drums would be. So now we can start thinking about, now that we got kind of the strum thing going, thinking about dividing the bass strings and the treble strings. Right? And I'm like on the down strokes, I'm like down, down, right? And I'm hitting the top 3 strings, and then I come down and I concentrate on the higher notes. Right, so you start to get the interplay between the bass and the treble strings. Right? So So the first two downstrokes are on the lower three strings of the chord, and then the rest is all played on that higher register. Now, why that's cool to get in the habit of doing that is sometimes you don't want to clutter up other melody notes with the real bassy, right? So if I leave out the top part of the chord and just hit the bottom, you really hear if I want to change the melody line up with another chord. So you always hear the D version, the D suspended fourths, seconds, you know. Right? And I'm just concentrating on those bottom two strings. You know, I'm hitting the bottom three, but really concentrating on these two because it changes the whole melody of the line, right? Right, so the 16th notes or whatever, the 8th notes, they don't have to be strums. You know, you can also right, so right there I mixed everything we've talked about into one little progression, and it was just D, you know, the suspended fourth right here, suspended second, which is just taking off your second finger, and back, and then I went to C, basically to the C add 9 chord, and then I just dropped down to the B, and then to G. Back to more of that 16th note strumming, right? So now right there, I did the same thing. I strummed, but I also singled out single notes within the chord. So I'm strumming. But I'm also picking out single notes to play. So not, instead of doing like an full upstroke or whatever, I'm picking out a single string to kind of highlight a melody line within the chord I'm playing. So these are all just basic things that you can do, or some of them not so basic. You know, it takes some time to get the dynamics, especially in acoustic playing, down. But these are things that all dramatically make you sound more professional, but they're very simple techniques. Just a little bit goes a long way, so you're not just... right? Right? Washboarding. There we can go. Right, so there I'm highlighting more of the moving bass line and then just doing the strumming down here. So basically, remember, you have quarter notes, so that'd be right on the click of the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and eighth notes, and then 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 16th notes. Now within those three groups, obviously, you know, swung and all these other things add different feels, but we're sticking to just basic straight time stuff. Within those three different note choices, quarter, eighth, and 16th notes, there's a limitless variations that you can hit. Now remember, we're working with bass. Sorry. I feel like watching my hand in the monitor while I'm doing that. Breaking up treble and bass sides of the chords. There's the same time element, but picking, like arpeggiating, which just means notes of the chord separately. There's mixing the two, strums and arpeggiating. Arpeggiating, there we go. And kind of highlighting more of a melody line on top of the actual chord progression itself. And voila, there you have some basic techniques that can really help take your, basic acoustic playing, from just learning how to strum, which we're all there. And it seems like, well, how do people strum? That's like, once you get the chords down, you want to make some rhythm and you want to be able to switch between songs. So start simple. Remember, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and then you can be like, right? So you're hitting one straight, one quarter note rather, and then the next one is with the eighth. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. That's a great one to work on the bass. You hit the quarter note on the low strings and then the eighth notes on the higher to get that technique down. And then there's the 16th notes, which you can. And then they're arpeggiated. All right, so work with all that. Let us know how it turns out and write some hit songs, for goodness sakes. We need some. All right, awesome job.